Today's Seniors Living Well with your host, Lori Well.
Hi everybody, welcome back to today's Seniors Living Well. This is our 7th series and we're themed Fit and Safe, and we're talking about different ways to stay fit emotionally, physically, mentally, and ways to stay safe in Amador County. And with the traffic going the way it is, I'm beginning to think one of the ways to stay safe is to learn about our really good public transit system and whenever possible use it, because I can't believe on the weekends sometimes the crazy tourists, and they're here even on Fridays and Mondays. So I have with me today our mobility manager, Robyn Valencia, and Robyn's been on the show with me before. So Robyn, what's going on with transit these days?
Transit's been busy. I've heard a couple of drivers this week, you know, saying as they came in, my bus was full, so that's really great. Our ridership has really increased a lot in the last year, which we're very pleased with that.
That's great. I'm sure that causes some training issues too, though, to be able to deal with crowds.
The drivers are good.
They're good.
They're real good. We
That's
always
good.
get compliments on our drivers.
Oh, that's excellent.
So that's very nice.
Yeah. So is that just the shuttle bus, or is that just the buses in general?
The shuttle, the Ione bus, the upcountry bus.
Oh, cool.
We've had some full buses.
Great. So people are learning.
It's good, yeah.
So how's the Amador Rides program going?
The Amador Rides program, that's our new volunteer transportation program. So that's volunteers using their own vehicles at this time to take people to healthcare services.
Healthcare services?
Medical, dental, mental health, pharmacies, that kind of thing.
Pharmacies are included. That's
well,
good.
sure, that's part of their
health.
healthcare.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And
yeah.
they have to have their medications.
Sure they do, yeah.
So it's starting to, we're getting more calls. There's a huge need for it. And I think Annie mentioned that we overlap with Common Ground Senior Services a lot. A lot of our clients are also clients of Common Ground Senior Services, but there's just not the availability for them. So we work together and try to find these things, as well as with Amador County Veteran Services.
Yeah, it's a good collaborative effort that you guys
Very
are doing.
good, very good. And we've gotten some good support with Sutter Amador Hospital giving us a sponsorship for the program, and the Jackson Rancheria has given us, so that's helping us with our costs for, we provide supplemental insurance for our drivers. We do background checks that we pay for.
Good.
And then mileage reimbursement.
Mileage reimbursement. That's great.
Right.
So if you're a volunteer, or if you'd like to volunteer, do you have to like commit to I'll drive every Monday, or how does that work?
No, I'd like to get to the point where I had enough volunteers that I know, you know, if someone has an appointment on a Monday, I call Joe, and if someone has an appointment on a, Tuesday, I call Sally, but we're not there yet. I have about 10 volunteers right now, and I could certainly use more.
Okay. So if somebody just knew that, my husband's retired, and he's volunteering different places, but he's got some other commitments. He volunteers with the food bank and the community college, but he likes to drive. And if he decided he wanted to become a volunteer, how would he go about doing that?
There's an application. It is on the Amador Transit website, or I can mail it to you or email it to you.
Or come by and drop it off.
Right. So
I'm not promising.
There's an application that they would fill out. And on that application, you'll say what days or what hours you're willing to drive, what cities you're willing to go to. I have some volunteers that are very willing to go out of county, because a lot of the people who need the transportation need to get to Sacramento. We actually took a gentleman to San Francisco a week ago, which is quite an exception, but I had a volunteer who was willing to do it.
That's amazing.
He got his care he needed and was able to get transferred to a specialist in Sacramento.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that program's thriving. And the other program that's really thrived under your management is the Dial-A-Ride program. And I think we have a little clip that we're going to show about Dial-A-Ride, and it's featuring a very special person.
It is.
For those who are unable to use our fixed route service, assisted transportation called Dial-A-Ride provides scheduled door-to-door transportation in the Jackson, Martell, Sutter Creek area. This very popular service has had a life-altering effect on some of its riders.
I was already prepared to move out of the area. I was just spending too much time alone, and I need to get out where people were.
Hi, Peach. Sure, we could schedule a trip for you for tomorrow.
When I heard about Dial-A-Ride, it was coming in July of 2011, I called my landlady and said, I'm staying. And it was like the door opened and let me out. And now I just call and make my appointment. I'm not embarrassed. I don't have to call a neighbor. It gave me back my independence.
All of the people in the Dial-A-Ride service are friendly, and the drivers are especially friendly. They when I go shopping, they will bring the groceries right to the door. Dial-A-Ride is my gateway to freedom.
Individuals interested in utilizing our Dial-A-Ride paratransit service should contact Amador Transit staff for more information.
Hey, that was a great little video. And we have a special guest from that video next.
Right, who will be on next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Peach will come and tell us her own experiences.
Yeah, she was one of our first Dial-A-Ride riders.
Really?
Tourism is
And I know the lady she was talking to has since passed away.
Yes.
But she was a very independent person. In her, she was a nurse and she was very active, and being able to ride Dial-A-Ride really kept her going for quite a long time.
It
before
did.
she
I
passed.
forget how many exercise classes she went to, but I think it was something like 400 classes that she went to. Yeah.
On Dial-A-Ride.
On Dial-A-Ride,
Yeah,
right.
that's cool. And now, just briefly describe the Dial-A-Ride program.
Well, Dial-A-Ride is a curb-to-curb or door-to-door service, depending on the person's needs, for people who have either a health-related functional disability or some other disability that prevents them from riding our fixed route transit, the regularly scheduled bus service. So that could be a temporary condition. You had surgery, you're recovering, you can't ride. It could be where it's on a case-by-case basis. Maybe you can ride fixed route transit to some locations, but to others you can't. And then you would have the Dial-A-Ride service. So it could be some or all of the time that you can't ride fixed route transit.
So it's not like you have to be permanently disabled to be able to use it. Like if I had knee surgery and I needed.
Right, then
use
we'd
it.
give you, temporary Dial-A-Ride service.
Yeah.
Right. So it's in the Jackson Sutter Creek service area. So we go anywhere within Jackson and Sutter Creek. Outside that service area, if you qualify for Dial-A-Ride, we can go up to 3/4 of a mile off of our regular route to pick you up or drop you off, but it's based on the times our route is already there.
Ah, okay. So that's a little tricky. Somebody would probably have to call you and.
Right, and we
about
do
that.
have several people who live way up in Pioneer who do ride down that way, and they get picked up at their home rather than having to get to a bus stop. But it's based on those times that we're there, and they just work within the system of, hey, they come down at noon and they go back at 4, and it works for them. And once they're down in Jackson, they can schedule a Dial-A-Ride trip if they needed to go to somewhere else if that
Somewhere
route
else.
doesn't go to it.
Wow, it's such a good system, and so many possibilities now for people that before, when they lost their license, they felt like, I'm going to have to call my friends or my family or whatever. And now they can be really
Yeah,
on their own.
There's a
and
few more
have
options,
control.
and they can have that independence, and it relieves the stress of having to ask someone. Because a
Right.
lot of people are uncomfortable with asking for help, but calling and scheduling a trip is something different. That's what we're there for.
Yeah, right. That's your job.
Right.
They're creating jobs.
That's right.
Okay. And the shuttle route has also really started being used a lot more too.
Quite a bit more.
And-
In the shuttle, we have 14 shuttles every day, Monday through Friday, through Jackson and Sutter Creek. So those go to all of the grocery stores, the hospital, the Court Street Medical Complex, the courthouse, Health and Human Services, into Sutter Creek, up to the high school a couple of times a day.
So
Just about
it's a
anywhere
very-
you would need
yeah.
to go in Jackson Cedar Creek, we can get you there.
Yeah, and the senior center is one of the
Senior
stops.
center is
And I've noticed that there are now 3 or 4 people that they'll ride in on one bus, and they'll come in and maybe buy a candy bar, and then they'll sit out on the porch, and then they'll catch another bus. So like they have the system down pat, and
Yeah.
they're using us as a transfer place.
right, and people who ride regularly, they know the schedules better than I do lots of times.
Yeah,
know how to
that's
use
cool.
it.
That's very cool, and it's been very nice being a stop because it's made some people that probably didn't really know where the center was now know where the center is. And I think one elderly gentleman rode down and came in to use the restroom and decided to stay for lunch. So
Oh, well, that's good.
that was good, yeah. I think he was taking the bus to see his wife at Kit Carson, or maybe at the hospital. So anyway, that was good. So anything else you want to share with us? Any changes coming up? Or
We are going to have some minor schedule changes in January, and those are mostly about stop orders and to help improve it. Because, for instance, right now, you can go from Jackson Hills Apartments to the senior center, but you can't get from the senior center back to Jackson Hills Apartments.
without riding the whole route.
Right.
I see.
So we're going to reverse, swap some of the stops orders so that the shuttle A, most of those changes are in the shuttle A, so that you can get from, one place and back on the other. You can take the A one way and the B one way
Okay.
and be able to do that. So there's just some little minor, tweaks to the system that
are
we're
gonna
doing.
change.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Robyn, thank you. That's a lot of stuff to talk about. And if they want to reach you, what's the number?
267-9395.
Okay, 267-9395. Stay tuned. We're coming back, and we're going to talk to that movie star we just saw.